Uh, just for a bit of a change of pace after my recent, you could say rants, some might say, um, I thought I'd answer a question that I often get asked, and that is, what do I read? Who are my favourite authors? It's a question that I think any author gets asked at some point, because people are curious to see what inspires you to do what you do. Now, I have three authors whose book I read every year, which is quite nice because their books come out roughly the same time each year. However, I'm not a big hardback fan. Not that I've got anything against the books per se, but I don't mind if it's non-fiction, but fiction I like to have softbacks because I tend to read a lot in the streets, which apparently is quite strange, but I'm not seeing it. It's just what I do. I've always done it. As many people have asked me, don't you fall over? Don't you bump into things? And no, I've been doing this since I was, I don't know, oh gosh, since I was like 11, maybe younger. And only one time I've had an accident, and that's when somebody came out of a garage, as in the petrol garage, not actual garage, and nearly knocked me over. So that wasn't my fault. So these three authors are, in no particular, well, sort of in no particular order, I suppose, are John Connolly, and this is his latest book, A Time of Torment, which came out last month for paperback. As I say, I do not like hardback for fiction, which does mean I'm not always a year behind everybody else who reads their stuff. But that's just how it is, and I don't care. But so yeah, the first one is John Connolly, who is my favourite author and has been for many years. I love his stuff. I love the intricate way he writes, the way he builds his worlds, the way that this series of books, the Charlie Parker thrillers, although a series, they are written in a way that can be read individually and it won't affect the enjoyment, so you don't need to have read all of them to understand. And this sun is apparently quite bright right now. So yeah, that's good. But it's also the poetic way that he writes, and I just love it. I don't know why, I'm not a massive poetry fan, but there's something poetic and something lyrical about his prose. And it gets quite dark. Not in a horror way, but there's a lot of dark undertones that have been building gradually over the years. And I've got a feeling it's all coming to a head. I'm wondering how much longer we've got for the Charlie Parker thrillers. We'll see. My second is a bit random because I came across her back when I was working in Waterstones, and a colleague of mine loved her books. She's only had at this point 2 out, I believe, maybe 3. And I don't know. No, this is just a personal thing. You know, it's nothing against any of such people, but I've never been I find it hard to get on with a female writer in terms of what they write personally. Not always, of course. I mean, there's always exceptions, but by and large, I don't tend to get on well with female written books. In particular, books written by American female authors. Again, it's no reflection on them personally. It just doesn't really work for me, and that's just how it's always been. However, I came across this woman, as I say, so this would be in 2003, 2002, whatever it was, some time back now. And I did read her second book before the first, which was a bit silly because they are very connected, but you know, you live and learn. And that's Karin Slaughter. This is the latest, which I only picked up today, which only came out last week. Again, obviously I'm a year behind because it's hardback of the new books out now. These are really good. I love what she's done here because she started off writing one series, the Atlanta series, with Jeffrey Tolliver and Sarah Linton, and then she done a standalone book featuring another character called Will Trent, I believe, yeah. And went back to the Tolliver stuff. Eventually killed that character off, and then she started doing a series of books based on Will Trent and in actually different part of Atlanta, the actual city, as opposed to a little sort of town outside. But eventually she merged them together when Will met Sarah, because Sarah, after Jeff's death, she moved back to Atlanta, they met, and they've kind of got a thing going now. So this is like, I don't know, I mean, it's got to be at least the 12th book, probably more. Hang on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 16th book, which is pretty good, which is roughly the same as this, I should think. So yeah, this is my second favourite author of all time, which is a female and American, which just goes to show that tastes change. You know, maybe it's because I was fine with Karen. She doesn't hold back. I find a lot of female American crime writers, thriller writers, they go to a certain point and then they pull back. Whereas Karen will go to a certain point in the stakes and go straight over. And yeah, I love that, so that's good for me. And then my third favourite author who I read once a year is Mark Billingham. Again, this is, I imagine, the 16th book, because I started reading his in about 2001, I believe, because my then partner worked in W. Smith's, and he brought the first one home randomly, called Sleepyhead. I read the blurb and thought, yeah, that sounds fun. I'm not really a crime fan, but you know, give it a read. It's very, very good, very clever, and I've just been reading his books ever since. Now, I'd say he's third on the list because, unlike Karen and John, there's been one, maybe two of the books of the series that have been, for me, a little bit weak, which I didn't really, and there was actually one that I kind of got about so far in, just getting really tired and bored, so I kind of skipped to the end, which is unfortunate, but these things happen, right? That said, the last couple of books have been really good, so, you know, it was a blip. Again, it's a personal thing. I'm not saying he had a blip. You know, I'm sure there's loads of people who loved what he did. It just didn't work for me. Although, that said, Mr. Connolly, as I say, although my favourite writer of all time currently, there was one book in this series called The Reapers, which was a sort of, it's part of the series, but it's focused mostly on Louis and Angel, which are Charlie Parker's dubious company. And it went, I think, for me, it went too far into their history and their characters, and I find Angel and Louis work better when they're the shadowy figures in the background. The more you know about them, the less interesting they become. It's the not knowing that makes them so fascinating as characters. But, you know, that was the blip. That was, you know, everyone has a blip. So far, I have to honestly say, I don't think Karen has, so fingers crossed. So yeah, these are the books that I read every year by these three people. Every year I read them, and they all come out roughly the same time, so I basically end up, whatever I'm reading, take a pause, and I'll be indulging in these over the next, generally at the moment I find myself, when I'm reading a book, it takes me at least a month to get through, just because I'm so busy elsewise, unfortunately. I just need to get a glass of water. Ta-da! Glass of water. That's better. Bit of a birdie throat there. Forgot what I was saying. Gone. What was I saying? I actually can't remember. This is why I need an edit function. Yeah, I have completely lost my train of thought now. Whoops. Sorry. So yeah, these are the three that I read every year. Oh yeah, yeah, that's what I was saying. I tend to take a month or so to read a book because I've got so much work going on, which obviously involves reading and writing. So I don't get as much reading time as I used to. However, with these three, and this is a fact, with these three books, I will have these all finished. It's now April the 10th. I'll have all three of these finished by the end of next month at the latest. Guaranteed, these are the three authors that I will get through in a matter of weeks, which is nice because, you know, it keeps you inspired, it keeps you going. So I think these three are sort of a nice mixture of the stuff I enjoy the most. And you'll note, considering what I tend to write mostly these days, not one single bit of sci-fi amongst my three favourite authors. That's an interesting fact. People look at me and they seem to think I love sci-fi, and I do. But not so much on the reading of. I tend to prefer reading thriller type stuff, stuff that gets you thinking. I'm not sci-fi. I used to like a lot, but when it comes to reading, I'm not a huge sci-fi fan anymore. True fact. Anyway, so I must get back on with the latest to see what's going on with The Cut, and I'm sure it's going to be nothing good, so I shall speak to you all soon. So Parker took another run past the scene.